the bunny woman teacher who needed help carrying supplies. The third time Atlas helped Astrea carry a precarious stack of old data crystals. A faint, metallic clink echoed from within one of the boxes. She froze, her tan fur bristling almost imperceptibly, her soft pink eyes widening behind her glasses. "Just old teaching aids," she mumbled, pushing him gently towards the classroom. Atlas, sensing her unease, pretended not to notice. He knew a simple stack of crystals wouldn't make a determined bunny woman teacher so visibly tense. The school, he realized, held more than just children and lesson plans. Atlas adjusted his grip on the heavy carton, its contents shifting with a soft rattle. Astrea's ears, usually perked with an almost frantic alertness, were pressed flatter against her head, a clear sign of distress. He had been volunteering at Starseed Elementary on Ethelgard for nearly 2 weeks now, a 65-year-old human drawn to the bustling frontier planet by a desire for quiet purpose. Retirement had felt hollow until he discovered the school's call for assistance. He'd signed up to help organize the various departments, a task that often involved physical labor, which he welcomed. It kept his mind and body active. Astrea, a petite bunny woman teacher with tan fur and soft pink eyes, had been his most frequent requester. He had first seen her struggling to maneuver several heavy supply boxes through a narrow corridor. Her glasses were slightly askew then, just as they were now. He remembered approaching her, his voice kind and steady. "Those look quite heavy. May I help you with those?" She had startled, clutching a box tighter, her ears twitching. "Oh no, thank you, Atlas, I have them." Her tone had been polite but firm, tinged with a weariness that had tugged at him. He had gently insisted, explaining his role as a volunteer dedicated to assisting staff. "It's what I'm here for, Astrea. My name is on the roster." She had hesitated then, her shoulders visibly slumping in relief before she finally relented. "Thank you, Atlas. They're for the sensory integration room." That first interaction had set a pattern. Astrea would struggle, Atlas would offer, and after a moment of polite refusal, she would accept with a quiet gratitude that softened her guarded demeanor. Now, walking beside her towards a classroom, the metallic clink from the box still echoed in his mind. "Just old teaching aids," she repeated, her voice a little too quick. She pushed the classroom door open with her hip, careful not to jostle the precarious stack he carried. The room was quiet, filled with the muted colors and soft textures of a learning space designed for diverse young minds. He placed the box gently on a low shelf, then turned to help her with the one she still clutched. "These old data crystals can be surprisingly heavy," Atlas observed, his voice even. He watched her movements, efficient and precise despite the obvious strain. A faint, unfamiliar herbal scent emanated from her fur, a subtle aroma he had come to associate with her, a blend of something earthy and sweet. It was comforting, yet added to her mystique. She nodded, placing her box down with a soft thud. "Indeed. Some of these date back to the founding of Starseed. We're trying to digitize them, but the process is slow." She adjusted her glasses, pushing them up her small nose, her pink eyes darting towards the door before settling on him. "Thank you again, Atlas. I truly appreciate your help." "It's my pleasure, Astrea," he replied, meeting her gaze. He noticed the faint dark circles beneath her eyes, a testament to long hours. This school certainly keeps its staff busy. It's quite the operation, catering to so many species. A genuine smile touched her lips, fleeting but warm. "Our students are wonderful. Children from so many different star systems, all learning together on Ethelgard. It's a privilege." Her ears twitched again, a nervous habit he had begun to recognize, though it presents unique challenges. Atlas nodded. "I imagine so. Different physiologies, different learning styles, different histories." He paused, letting his gaze linger on the stack of old data crystals. He wondered about their contents, about the histories they contained. Ethelgard itself is quite unique, a melting pot. I'm still learning its nuances. "It is," Astrea agreed, her smile fading as she reached for another box. "But we make it work. Every child deserves a chance to learn their heritage, to understand their place in the galaxy." Her voice held a fierce conviction, a stark contrast to her earlier nervousness. Atlas picked up the last box, lighter than the others. You clearly put your heart into it. He felt a warmth from her, a genuine passion for her work that transcended her guarded demeanor. Yet the underlying tension remained. The way she scanned the room, the way she clutched the boxes a little too tightly, the way her fur had bristled at the clink. It was more than just the stress of a busy teacher. "It's all I know," she said quietly, her gaze fixed on the crystals. "Nurturing young minds is foundational to my species." She didn't elaborate, and Atlas didn't press. He sensed she carried a burden far heavier than any stack of old teaching aids. A feeling solidified in his gut. This determined bunny woman teacher held secrets, and something in the school, or perhaps in those very crystals, was connected to them. He wondered what he would uncover next. The next few weeks saw Atlas deeply integrated into Starseed Elementary. His presence became a quiet constant, a reassuring anchor in the school's bustling corridors. Astrea, initially reserved, found herself seeking his assistance more often. These weren't grand projects, always just a quick thing. As she would say, her ears twitching with a nervous energy Atlas had come to associate with her. One afternoon, he found her struggling with a heavy cart piled high with salvaged tech parts for the robotics club. Tiny wires, circuit boards, and disassembled servos threatened to spill over. "Let me take that," Atlas offered, stepping forward before she could protest. He easily took the cart's handle, his sturdy frame making light work of the load. "Thank you, Atlas," Astrea said, a genuine sigh escaping her. Her soft pink eyes met his, a brief moment of unguarded relief. "It seems there's always something. These parts are essential for our students to experiment, but they're not always easy to acquire or manage." "A school like this must have unique challenges," Atlas observed, navigating the cart around a group of chittering, multi-limbed students. He felt a quiet satisfaction in easing her burden, however small. "Indeed," Astrea replied, walking beside him. "Funding is always a concern. Planetary grants are dwindling, and integrating children from so many disparate star systems presents its own complexities. Every species has different learning styles, different needs." Her voice held a familiar undercurrent of weariness. Atlas nodded. "It sounds like a lot of pressure, especially on the teachers." He pushed the cart into the designated robotics lab. The hum of various small devices filled the air. Astrea began carefully organizing the parts. "It is, but the children are worth it. Their curiosity, their potential. It's why we do what we do." She paused, picking up a miniature holographic projector. "This one's broken. I was hoping to use it for the language lessons." "Let me have a look," Atlas offered. He took the projector, his fingers deftly examining the casing. Sometimes it's just a loose connection. He enjoyed the methodical challenge, the quiet focus it brought. He often found these moments of simple repair to be surprisingly meditative. As he worked, Astrea spoke more freely. "My species, the chrysanth, places immense value on nurturing young minds. It's foundational to our culture, a sacred duty. But sometimes the weight of that responsibility feels overwhelming." She looked at her paws, then back at him. "I worry I'm not doing enough, that I'm inadequate." Her ears drooped slightly, a vulnerable gesture. Atlas looked up from the projector, meeting her gaze. "Astrea, I've seen you with your students. You're tireless, dedicated. Inadequacy is a feeling, not a fact. True strength often lies in quiet resilience, in knowing when to seek support." He gently touched her arm. "No one expects you to carry everything alone." His words were a soft balm, an unexpected comfort. Astrea's fur bristled slightly, not in alarm but perhaps in surprise, then settled. A warmth spread through her. His understanding was a rare gift. "Thank you, Atlas," she murmured, her voice softer than usual. "That means a great deal." She felt a piece of her carefully constructed wall begin to crumble. Over the following days, Atlas helped her organize multi-species language learning materials, a task that involved sifting through countless ancient texts and modern digital translations. He learned about the nuances of interspecies communication, the subtle differences in vocalizations and visual cues. He saw Astria's meticulous attention to detail, her profound desire for every child to feel seen and understood. During a break in the teacher's lounge, Atlas observed Astria scanning the room. Her ears twitched, her eyes darted from face to face, then to the exit, a quick, almost unconscious movement. It wasn't the first time. He'd noticed it when she was alone and even when others were present. It was too precise, too frequent for mere habit. He wondered if it was a deep-seated anxiety or if her concerns ran deeper than the school's operational challenges. He decided to watch, to listen. Atlas successfully repaired the holographic projector. Its soft glow now illuminated the language materials. Astria was visibly relieved, her smile brighter. "You're truly a lifesaver, Atlas," she said, her gratitude evident. "I don't know what I'd do without your help." He felt a genuine connection forming, a gentle warmth that transcended their species and roles. He saw past her professional facade to the passionate, burdened individual beneath. Astria, in turn, found herself relying on his calm, steady presence, his quiet strength. He wasn't just a volunteer, he was becoming a confidant. One morning, Astria approached him with an unusual request. Her soft pink eyes held a mixture of apprehension and hope. "Atlas, I have a history lesson coming up for the older students. It requires a very specific data crystal, one that's not easily accessible." She wrung her paws slightly. "It's stored in the archival room. It's quite heavy, and the room itself is rarely used, quite dusty." Atlas felt a prickle of curiosity. This wasn't a quick thing. This felt different. He remembered the faint metallic clink from weeks ago, the way her fur had bristled. "Of course, Astria," he said, keeping his voice even. "Just tell me where it is." He knew this was more than just a history lesson. This was the opening he had been waiting for, the next step in uncovering Astria's carefully guarded secrets. He felt a quiet resolve solidify within him. He would help her, whatever the secret. Atlas accepted the archival room request with a quiet affirmation. He found the room exactly as Astria described, a dim space filled with tall, dusty shelves. The air was still, carrying the faint scent of aged data wafers and forgotten history. He navigated the narrow aisles, the quiet hum of dormant systems the only sound. He located the shelf Astria indicated, tucked away in a corner behind a leaning stack of obsolete projection reels. The data crystal was indeed heavy, a solid block of shimmering material. He grunted slightly, pulling it forward. As he shifted the crystal, his hand brushed against the back of the shelf. There was a slight give, an unexpected emptiness. His fingers explored the recess, finding a seam where no seam should be. Curiosity, a quiet companion to his observations of Astria, pulsed stronger. He gently probed the area. A small section of the shelving, disguised with remarkable precision, pivoted inward. Behind it, a hidden compartment lay revealed. Inside, nestled on a soft, woven fabric, was an intricately carved wooden box. Its material was unlike any wood native to Ethelgard. The grain was tight, almost metallic in its sheen, and it emitted a faint, earthy aroma. He recognized the craftsmanship, a style he'd seen in a historical documentary about pre-warp civilizations, specifically from the Chrysanth region, Astria's ancestral home. He carefully lifted the box. It felt ancient, heavy with significance. He opened the lid, a soft click echoing in the stillness. Within, several thin, rectangular data slates rested, their surfaces etched with delicate, swirling symbols. He immediately recognized the distinct iconography of Chrysanth, symbols Astria sometimes unknowingly doodled on the edge of her lesson plans. Alongside the slates, a small, polished pendant glowed with a soft, internal light, a subtle pulse that seemed to beat with a silent rhythm. This was no mere school memorabilia. This was profoundly personal, profoundly important. Atlas felt a quiet certainty solidify within him. Astria's secrets were not just about school challenges, they were about her very heritage. He carefully closed the box, replacing it within the hidden compartment, then resealed the panel. He took the designated history data crystal and left the archival room, his mind already formulating how to approach her. He found Astria in the teacher's lounge, meticulously arranging holographic textbooks. Her fur was slightly ruffled, a sign of her underlying stress. She looked up, her soft pink eyes meeting his. "Did you find it, Atlas?" she asked, a hopeful tremor in her voice. He placed the requested data crystal on her desk. "I did, Astria." He paused, his gaze steady. "And I found something else." He watched her closely. Her ears twitched, her eyes darted briefly to the lounge door, a familiar, nervous habit. Behind where this crystal was stored, a hidden compartment. Astria flinched, her tan fur bristling almost imperceptibly. She immediately tried to deflect, her voice tight. "Oh, that old thing. Just some forgotten school memorabilia, I imagine. Perhaps a time capsule from the founders, nothing important for current lessons." She waved a dismissive paw, but her eyes held a frantic desperation. Atlas remained calm, his voice gentle but firm. "Astria, it was an intricately carved wooden box. The material is distinctly chrysanth, and the symbols on the data slates inside were clearly chrysanth iconography. It also contained a glowing pendant." He leaned forward slightly, lowering his voice. "You're under immense pressure, Astria. This doesn't look like simple memorabilia. This looks important, perhaps even dangerous." Her composure shattered. Tears welled in her soft pink eyes, blurring her glasses. She wrung her paws, her shoulders shaking. "You don't understand, Atlas," she whispered, her voice cracking. "No one understands." She took a ragged breath, the dam finally breaking. "That box contains the last known records of Chrysanth's true history, our real migration patterns, our cultural evolution, our ancient territories." She looked at him, raw vulnerability in her gaze. "It's been hidden for generations. From a powerful interstellar consortium." Atlas listened intently, his heart aching for the burden she carried. "The consortium?" he asked gently, inviting her to continue. "They want to control our species' narrative, to rewrite our history, limit our claims to ancestral resources." She swallowed hard, struggling to maintain her voice. "They promote a falsified version of Chrysanth history, making us seem less capable, less historically significant. They've been searching for these records for decades. My family, we've been the guardians, passing this responsibility down." Her gaze dropped to her paws. "The pendant is a key. It accesses crucial information, a deeper layer of encryption." She finally confessed the full weight of her burden. "This is why I'm always so overwhelmed, why I scan the room constantly. I'm terrified they'll find it, that I'll fail my ancestors, fail my people." Her voice was barely audible. "I'm the reluctant guardian, Atlas, it's too much." She looked up at him, despair etched on her face. Atlas felt a profound shift. This wasn't just a teacher and a volunteer. This was a person carrying the weight of a world silently, bravely. He reached out, gently covering one of her trembling paws with his hand. His touch was warm, steady. "You are not alone in this, Astria," he said, his voice filled with quiet conviction. "You don't have to carry this by yourself anymore. We will protect it, whatever it takes." A fragile hope sparked in her eyes, mixing with the lingering fear. An unexpected alliance, forged in trust and shared purpose, solidified between them. Their relationship, once a gentle mentorship, now transformed into a partnership against a looming, unseen threat. Astria felt a warmth spread through her, a sense of relief she hadn't known possible. She looked at Atlas, seeing not just a kind volunteer but an anchor, a steadfast companion in the storm. The next morning, Astria found a data slate waiting on her desk. Its notification light pulsed a stern, unyielding red. She picked it up, her ears flattening instinctively as she read the official seal, Interstellar Educational Oversight. Her heart hammered against her ribs. The message announced a surprise educational standards audit for Starseed Elementary, scheduled for the end of the week. The lead official was identified as Sector Chief Thuron, a name infamous for his close ties to the consortium. Astria felt the fragile hope from yesterday crumble. Her breath caught in her throat. "No," she whispered, the single word a desperate plea. She stumbled from her classroom, the data slate clutched in her trembling paws, seeking Atlas. She found him in the school workshop, neatly sorting salvaged components. Atlas, her voice was a thin thread of sound. He turned, his kind eyes immediately sensing her distress. Her fur bristled, her glasses askew. She thrust the slate at him. They know. They're coming for it. Atlas took the slate, his expression unreadable as he scanned the message. His gaze met hers, steady and calm. Sector Chief Thuron, he murmured, his brow furrowing slightly. He's known for his thoroughness. He saw the terror in Astria's eyes, the complete shattering of her composure. They'll find it, she choked out, tears welling. They'll take everything, erase our past. I can't protect it. I'm not strong enough. The immense weight of her ancestors' trust pressed down on her, suffocating her. Her careful facade, so recently cracked, now shattered completely. Atlas gently placed the data slate on a nearby workbench. He stepped closer, his presence a quiet strength. They might be coming for it, Astria, but they haven't taken it yet. He placed a reassuring hand on her shoulder. Panic won't help us. We will protect it. We need a plan. His voice was firm, yet infused with deep compassion. He thought of his own long life, the many intricate challenges he had faced, the bureaucratic mazes he had navigated. This was different, more personal, but the principles remained. Astria looked at him, a flicker of something beyond despair in her soft pink eyes. A plan? How? Her voice still trembled, but she listened. Your chrysanth heritage, Atlas began, his gaze thoughtful. You've spoken of your people's keen senses, your memory. You tried to hide these traits, didn't you, to blend in? Astria nodded, her ears drooping slightly. But these are strengths, Astria. Not just traits you've tried to conceal. Your exceptional memory, your fine motor skills for intricate work, your keen hearing for subtle shifts in environment. These gifts can help us. Astria blinked, considering his words. She had always viewed her chrysanth traits as something to manage, to keep under wraps, lest she draw unwanted attention. The idea of them being tools for defense was alien. They'll be looking for specific records, specific digital signatures, Atlas continued, packing slowly. We need to create a diversion. Something loud, something distracting. He paused. And we need to encrypt the true records even further beyond their standard scans. Then the pendant. It can't be found where they expect. Astria wrung her pause. Encrypting the records is one thing. Hiding them, hiding the pendant where they won't look, that's impossible within the school in a few days. Atlas smiled faintly. Nothing is impossible, Astria, especially when you have a purpose. We're not alone in this school. Think about who knows the building best, who sees everything. He considered. Ilara, the janitor. She knows every creak, every hidden space, every schedule change. And she's gruff but fiercely protective of the school. Astria's ears twitched. Ilara, with her perpetually oil-stained overalls and sharp, knowing glances. She hadn't thought of her. Then there's Xylax, Atlas continued, the parent from your third-grade class. His child, Kale, is a brilliant young tech enthusiast. Xylax himself works in data forensics for the Planetary Security Office. He understands digital architecture, encryption protocols. Astria's eyes widened. Xylax had always seemed quiet, focused on Kale's academic progress. An alliance with a parent, a janitor. It felt outlandish, yet a spark of possibility ignited within her. They would help us, she asked, doubt coloring her tone. People often surprise you, Astria, when something truly matters, Atlas replied. We're protecting the truth. That resonates with many. But first, we need to make sure you are ready. He picked up a small, intricate circuit board from the workbench. Your fine motor skills, for example. Can you disassemble this with precision, without error? Astria hesitated, then took the board. Her nimble fingers moved with an almost surgical grace, quickly separating components, her focus absolute. It was a task she did often in her robotics club, but always downplayed. Atlas watched, a knowing look in his eyes. Excellent, he praised. Now your memory. The consortium promotes a falsified version of chrysanth history. You know the truth, don't you? Every date, every migration route, every cultural nuance. Astria nodded slowly. My ancestors' stories are ingrained. It's how we pass on our legacy. Good, Atlas said, his voice decisive. We'll use that. We'll present them with a narrative that seems to fit their expectations but is subtly, brilliantly altered. A false trail, woven with enough truth to be convincing but leading nowhere. Your eidetic memory will be crucial for recalling and rearranging that data on the fly. You'll create a digital mirage. A new feeling stirred within Astrea, not just fear but a surge of defiant purpose. Atlas wasn't just offering comfort, he was showing her how to fight. He was helping her realize the power she possessed. The weight of her burden hadn't vanished, but now it felt shared. It felt like a challenge she could face with him by her side. I can do that, Astrea said, her voice stronger, a newfound conviction in her soft pink eyes. She looked at the data slate, then at Atlas. The audit team would arrive soon, their presence a palpable threat throughout the school. But the fear was now tempered by a growing resolve, a quiet determination forged in the unexpected alliance. Atlas's steady presence was a silent anchor, preparing her for the storm that was about to break. Sector Chief Thuron swept into Starseed Elementary, his dark uniform a stark contrast to the school's vibrant, child-friendly decor. Two grim-faced subordinates followed, their databanks already scanning. Thuron's gaze, sharp and unyielding, immediately fixed on Astrea's classroom where she stood by a holographic display. The air tightened, palpable with his authority. Teacher Astrea, Thuron's voice cut through the murmuring students. My audit concerns historical data, specifically Chrysanth cultural preservation. He made no effort to soften his tone for the children. Astrea felt a cold knot in her stomach, but Atlas's steady presence in the doorway, a silent anchor, helped her stand firm. She met Thuron's gaze. Welcome, Sector Chief. My students were just learning about the Chrysanth migration patterns. I have extensive data prepared. Indeed, Thuron stepped closer to the holographic display. Show me your records, all of them. Astrea took a deep breath. Her nimble fingers flew across the control panel, projecting a complex timeline of Chrysanth history. Our people originated on Xylos Major, migrating across 3 star systems before settling on Lyra during the Great Stellar Shift, approximately 700 standard cycles ago. She recited the fabricated narrative with an almost flawless conviction, her eidetic memory a powerful tool. Every date, every star chart, every cultural detail was subtly tweaked, creating a convincing yet ultimately false trail. Thuron watched, his expression unreadable, occasionally tapping his own datapad. Your records align with the consortium's approved historical registry mostly. However, some of these minor discrepancies in dates seem unusual. He pointed to a specific data point. The Lyra settlement date. Our records indicate a slightly earlier colonization. Ah, a common misconception, Astrea replied smoothly, adopting a teacher's patient tone. Many older texts misinterpret the pre-settlement scouting expeditions as actual colonization. My data reflects the official establishment of permanent settlements, post-resource assessment. She elaborated, weaving details about planetary resource scarcity and early terraforming efforts, all carefully designed to sound plausible. Atlas, leaning against the doorframe, gave a subtle nod. Astrea caught it, a flicker of renewed courage igniting within her. She was doing it. Just then, a loud, grating whirring erupted from the corridor. Ilara, the janitor, emerged from around the corner, wrestling with a cleaning bot that shrieked and sparked, spewing suds across the polished floor. Blast this old rust bucket, Ilara yelled, playing her part with gusto. It's gone rogue again. Apologies, Sector Chief, this antique has a mind of its own. Thuron scowled, his focus momentarily diverted by the ruckus. One of his subordinates moved to assist Ilara, more out of a desire to silence the noise than actual helpfulness. The precise, tense atmosphere in Astrea's classroom fractured. Unacceptable, Thuron muttered, turning back to Astrea, his patience clearly wearing thin. Regardless of this disruption, I need to verify your physical archives. Specifically, the Chrysanth data crystals you recently moved into the archival room. We received an anonymous tip regarding unauthorized historical content. Estria's ears twitched, her heart pounding. This was the moment. The archival room is restricted, Sector Chief, she stated, her voice steady despite the internal tremor. All access requires proper clearance and a data privacy waiver from the school board. I have full auditing authority, Thuron countered, his voice hardening. My clearance supersedes local regulations. He moved towards the door. Before he could take another step, a sharp, authoritative voice cut in from the classroom doorway. "Excuse me, Sector Chief Thuron." Xilax, a tech-savvy parent and a prominent data rights advocate, stepped forward. "I'm Xilax, father of one of Estria's students. My child's educational data, as well as all Chrysanth cultural data, falls under the new Interstellar Data Privacy Act. Article 7. Subsection B. Any unscheduled, targeted audit of protected cultural archives without a formal warrant and a minimum 72-hour notification period constitutes a breach of protocol." Thuron froze, his face tightening. "This is an educational standards audit, not a criminal investigation." "Indeed," Xilax replied, holding up a small, glowing datapad. "But the Act specifically outlines cultural records as sensitive data, requiring additional protections against undue consortium influence, especially after the recent allegations of historical revisionism on Xerxes Prime." He looked directly at Thuron, a subtle challenge in his eyes. "Are you implying this audit is not targeting Chrysanth history?" A tense silence fell. Thuron's jaw clenched. He knew the Data Privacy Act was new and fiercely enforced by the independent civilian oversight groups Xilax represented. Pushing through would risk a major legal battle, one that could expose the consortium's true motives for the audit. The last thing he needed was a public scandal. He glared at Estria, then at Atlas, then back at Xilax. "This is highly irregular. I will review the matter with my legal team." He snapped his datapad shut. "The archival search is temporarily suspended. However, this audit is not concluded." Thuron turned on his heel, his subordinates scrambling to follow him as he stormed out, leaving Alara still struggling with the cleaning bot in his wake. Estria let out a slow, shaky breath. The immediate pressure eased. She looked at Atlas, her soft pink eyes wide with a mix of relief and awe. He offered a small, reassuring smile. They had done it. They had bought themselves time, and for now the true history of Chrysanth remained safe within the school's hidden depths. The pendant, cleverly disguised as a child's glitter-covered art project, hung innocently in a display case, completely overlooked. The battle was far from over, but this round they had won. Later, in the quiet hum of the teacher's lounge, Estria finally sank into a chair. "I barely held it together," she confessed, a tremor in her voice. His eyes, he knew. Atlas sat beside her, gently taking her hand. He suspected, "But you were brilliant. Your memory, your conviction, you turned their own tactics against them." He squeezed her hand. "And our allies were perfect. Alara's timing, Xilax's legal knowledge." Estria leaned her head on his shoulder, a wave of profound gratitude washing over her. "I couldn't have done any of it without you, Atlas. You saw strengths in me I didn't know I possessed. You showed me how to fight." Her voice was soft, laced with a warmth that went beyond friendship. "You found me, and I found strength." Their shared victory, however temporary, had forged a bond deeper than either had anticipated, a quiet understanding that promised more than just alliance. Days later, the scent of fresh-baked nutrient bars filled Estria's small apartment above the school. Atlas sat opposite her at the worn kitchen table, a steaming mug of her preferred herbal tea warming his hands. The tension of the audit had finally receded, replaced by a comfortable silence. "I still can't believe we pulled it off," Estria murmured, stirring her tea. Her ears twitched, a gesture of lingering disbelief. Thuron was so certain. "He underestimated you," Atlas replied, his gaze warm. "And he underestimated the power of community. Xilax's timing was impeccable. Alara's clanking bot was a stroke of genius." Estria chuckled softly. Ilara has a knack for malfunctions when needed. She always did say the school needed more character. She met his eyes, a vulnerability softening her usual guarded expression. But you, Atlas, you saw the path forward when I only saw walls. You made me believe I could stand up to them. Atlas reached across the table, gently covering her hand with his own. You always had the strength, Astrea. You just needed a reason to uncover it. Protecting your history, your students, that's a powerful reason. His thumb stroked her furred hand. A quiet current passed between them, a recognition of the profound shift in their relationship. This was no longer just an alliance of necessity. Astrea felt a blush creep into her tan fur. She looked away for a moment, then back at him, her soft pink eyes shining. I've started looking at the data slates again. Now that the immediate threat is contained, I feel less paralyzed by fear. She stood, moving to a small, secure locker built into her apartment wall. From within, she retrieved the ancient chrysanth wooden box, carefully placing it on the table. The pendant, now safely tucked inside, pulsed with a faint, steady light. "What have you found?" Atlas asked, leaning forward, his curiosity piqued. Astrea selected a thin, iridescent slate, its surface etched with intricate chrysanth script and faint holographic projections. These aren't just historical records. They're a blueprint. Our ancestors didn't just migrate. They engineered their survival across impossible distances. This slate, for example, details how they adapted chrysanth flora to thrive in zero-gravity environments during their interstellar journey. She activated a small projector embedded in the slate. A miniature, glowing forest unfurled above the table, its bioluminescent leaves slowly unfurling in the simulated void. It's more than just history. It's advanced biodesign, sustainable energy solutions. Knowledge the consortium would certainly want to control, to profit from. Atlas watched the holographic forest, fascinated. So they're not just erasing your past, they're suppressing your future. This technology could benefit countless worlds. He understood the depth of the consortium's greed. This wasn't merely about narrative control, it was about monopolizing vital, ancient knowledge. Exactly, Astrea confirmed, a fierce conviction returning to her voice. The consortium presents Chrysanth as a primitive agrarian society, easily managed. This evidence shatters that lie. She sighed, the weight of the revelation settling on her. It makes our fight even more critical. Their quiet work continued for several weeks. Astrea, with Atlas's steady support, dedicated every spare moment to deciphering the slates. Each discovery fueled her resolve and deepened their connection. They worked late into the nights, the glow of the data slates illuminating their shared purpose. Atlas, though not a chrysanth scholar, provided a calm, analytical mind, helping Astrea organize the vast information and identify patterns the consortium might exploit. One afternoon, as Astrea was explaining a complex chrysanth astronomical chart, her personal datapad chimed with an urgent notification. She frowned, tapping the screen. Her ears flattened slightly as she read the message. "It's from Sector Command," she said, her voice tight. "A reassignment directive." She handed the datapad to Atlas. He read the official notice. Teacher Astrea of Ethelgard is hereby reassigned to a temporary instructional support position at Veridian Prime, effective immediately. Your current position will be filled by a new, experienced educator from Sector Command. Atlas looked up, his expression grim. "They're trying to isolate you, get you away from the records, away from the school, away from your allies." Veridian Prime was a remote, heavily consortium-controlled agri-colony, far from any established legal protections. It was a place where inconvenient truths often disappeared. Astrea's heart hammered against her ribs. Fear, cold and sharp, gripped her again. "They can't do this. My students are here. My life is here." But the official tone of the directive left no room for appeal. This was a direct order, a clear escalation. They hadn't found the records, so they were trying to remove the guardian. Atlas squeezed her hand, his touch grounding her. This is their next move. It confirms how desperate they are. They couldn't get the records, so they're trying to remove you from the equation. He thought quickly. We anticipated them trying something. This is a tactic designed to disrupt, to create chaos. But we have time, a little. They don't know we've already started working through the records. Astria looked at him, her pink eyes wide with renewed apprehension. What do we do? If I leave, the records are vulnerable. If I refuse, I could lose everything, including my teaching license, and still face forced relocation. She imagined the anonymous new teacher from Sector Command arriving, systematically dismantling everything she had built, searching for what Thuron had failed to find. We don't go quietly, Atlas stated, his voice firm. We fight this, but we need a new strategy, one that protects you, the school, and the knowledge you hold. He stood, his resolve a palpable force. This isn't just about hiding, it's about revealing. We need to expose what they're doing, not just defend against it. Astria felt a flicker of hope ignite within her. She was terrified, but no longer alone. Atlas was there, his unwavering presence a beacon in the storm. Their alliance, born of a shared secret, had grown into something more profound, a bond that now faced its greatest test. She knew, with a certainty that settled deep in her core, that whatever lay ahead on Viridian Prime or Ethilgard, they would face it together. Astria clutched the reassignment directive, its cold data script a stark contrast to the warmth of Atlas's hand. Viridian Prime. It's a dead end, a place to disappear. Her ears flattened in distress. They want me gone before I can do anything with these. She gestured to the ancient chrysanth data slates scattered across her table. Exactly, Atlas agreed, his gaze sharp. But it also gives us a new angle. They think they're isolating you, but they're unknowingly providing a platform. He picked up a slate showing intricate bioluminescent urban planning. This isn't just history, Astria. This is proof of advanced, peaceful development. It contradicts everything the consortium claims about chrysanth dependency. How can we use it? She asked, her voice barely a whisper. From Viridian Prime, I'll have even less reach, less influence. We won't work alone, Atlas declared. Xylax, for one. Their legal expertise and network of data rights advocates could be invaluable, and Alara has ears everywhere. He paced the small apartment, his mind already mapping out possibilities. The consortium thrives on secrecy and control of information. We have to disrupt that. Astria watched him, a slow burn of resolve replacing her initial despair. Disrupt how? A public leak would be risky. They'd discredit me instantly, and then the records would be lost forever. Not a leak, Atlas corrected. A strategic reveal, one that forces their hand. We present the data through channels they can't easily dismiss. We need to find the right conduit, a reputable independent body with enough gravitas to challenge a sector command. He paused, a thought forming. The Interstellar Archival Commission. They have a mandate to protect cultural heritage, even from powerful entities. The IAC, Astria's eyes widened. They're notoriously slow, bound by endless protocols. Slow, yes, but also incorruptible, Atlas countered. We don't need speed, Astria, we need legitimacy, and we need to prepare the evidence meticulously. He moved back to the table, sorting through the slates. These blueprints, the sustainable energy schematics, they show Chrysanth wasn't just independent but advanced, self-sufficient. That's the real threat to their narrative of providing guidance and resources. They spent the next few days working through the night, fueled by synth coffee and a shared sense of urgency. Astria translated the ancient Chrysanth script, her mind a swift processor of complex historical and technical data. Atlas cross-referenced her findings with publicly available consortium documents, searching for discrepancies, for the cracks in their fabricated history. They discovered numerous instances where the consortium had claimed credit for Chrysanth innovations, or deliberately suppressed technological advancements that would have made other species less reliant on their manufactured goods. Look at this, Atlas pointed to a translated passage. The Chrysanth developed a closed-loop atmospheric recycling system for arid planets centuries ago. The consortium's proprietary terraforming technology is a direct, simplified copy, marketed as their own invention. Astrea gasped, her pink eyes flashing with indignation. They didn't just suppress our history, they stole our future. Precisely, Atlas affirmed, his voice grim. This is more than cultural heritage. This is grand larceny on an interstellar scale. They contacted Xylax through secure channels. The parent listened intently to their findings, their face a mask of professional intensity. This is substantial. If true, it would unravel decades of consortium policy. But it needs undeniable proof and a credible delivery mechanism. Xylax promised to consult with their legal network, exploring avenues to present the evidence to the IAC without it being immediately dismissed or buried. Elara, the janitor, provided a different kind of support. Veridian Prime, she grumbled, polishing a floor bot. Heard that place has more surveillance than atmosphere. Watch your back, little teacher. She passed Astrea a small, discreet comm unit, encrypted, untraceable for emergencies. And remember, some folks on Veridian Prime aren't as loyal to the consortium as they seem. Oppression breeds dissent. Her words were gruff but held a deep current of concern. The reassignment date loomed. Astrea had to tell her students. It was the hardest part. She gathered them in the classroom, her voice soft but steady. I'm going on a special assignment far away to help other children learn about their heritage. Tears welled in some young eyes, but Astrea met their gaze with a newfound strength. You all carry the stories of your people. Never forget them. Never stop asking questions. As she packed her meager belongings, Atlas packed his own. I'm coming with you, he stated, seeing her surprised look. You can't face this alone. My volunteer status can transfer to Veridian Prime, assisting with community integration or some such nonsense. It provides cover. Atlas, it's dangerous, Astrea whispered, her hand finding his. You don't have to. I do, he replied, his touch firm. This isn't just about Chrysanth anymore. It's about truth, and it's about us. His eyes held hers, a silent promise passing between them. The gentle romance born in the quiet classrooms had evolved, tested by adversity, into something profound and unbreakable. They were partners in every sense of the word. The day of departure arrived. The consortium transport ship, sleek and imposing, waited at the spaceport. Astrea felt a tremor of fear, but Atlas's presence beside her, his hand resting reassuringly on her arm, steadied her. They carried only their official allowance of luggage, but within Astrea's seemingly ordinary teaching kit, hidden amongst her lesson plans, were encrypted copies of the ancient Chrysanth data, miniaturized onto microslates. As they boarded, a stern-faced consortium official scanned their identities. Welcome to your new assignment, Teacher Astrea. Volunteer Atlas. We trust you'll find Veridian Prime a productive environment. His smile held no warmth. Atlas met the official's gaze without flinching. We're always eager to contribute. The ship lifted off, leaving Ethogard behind. Astrea looked out at the receding planet, then at Atlas. Veridian Prime might be a trap, she said, her voice laced with apprehension. Or, Atlas countered, a glint in his eye, it could be the perfect place for a truth to bloom. He squeezed her hand, a silent vow that whatever challenges awaited them, they would face them together, their alliance a beacon against the encroaching darkness. The next phase of their fight had begun. Veridian Prime was a sprawling agri-colony, its vast fields of genetically modified crops stretching to the horizon under a pale, filtered sun. The air was thick with the scent of synthetic nutrients, a stark contrast to Ethogard's natural breezes. Astrea and Atlas settled into their assigned quarters, a modest unit attached to the colony's educational facility. The facility was sparsely staffed, primarily focusing on vocational training related to agriculture, a clear attempt to limit Astrea's influence as a history teacher. They want us quiet and productive, Atlas observed, scanning the unit's basic comms panel. No external access, only approved consortium channels. Astrea unpacked her microslates, her fingers tracing the chrysanth symbols etched onto their surface. They underestimated us. They gave us isolation, but also a blind spot. Their first weeks were a dance of quiet observation and meticulous preparation. Astrea taught the few children assigned to her, weaving subtle threads of chrysanth culture into their basic agricultural history lessons. Atlas, under the guise of community integration, mapped the colony's internal network, identifying vulnerabilities. The consortium officials, believing them contained, barely paid them heed. This was their opportunity. Xylax confirmed the secure channel is ready, Atlas announced one evening, his voice low. Ilara's contact within the Archival Commission is expecting an anonymous data burst. It's now or never. Astrea felt a tremor of fear, but her gaze met Atlas's, steady and resolute. We do it. They waited until the colony's sparse evening patrols were at their furthest points. Atlas connected a modified comms unit to the internal network, bypassing the consortium's firewalls with a program Xylax had developed. Astrea inserted the primary microslate into a hidden port on the unit. Transmitting now, Atlas whispered, his fingers flying across the interface. Data streams, dense with ancient chrysanth history, biodesign blueprints, and sustainable energy schematics, surged silently into the vast interstellar void, aimed directly at the Interstellar Archival Commission. Seconds turned into an eternity. A single confirmation light blinked green. Done, Astrea breathed, a weight lifting from her shoulders. But their triumph was short-lived. A klaxon blared across the colony, a harsh, unexpected sound. Red emergency lights flashed. They know, Atlas stated, already moving towards the door. They detected the unusual network activity. We need to move. Footsteps pounded in the corridor. A gruff voice shouted orders. Teacher Astrea, volunteer Atlas, open this door immediately. No, Astrea said firmly. We won't give them the satisfaction. She looked at Atlas. The data is out, that's what matters. The door crashed inward, revealing a squad of consortium security personnel, led by a furious sector chief Thuron. His eyes, cold and hard, fixed on Astrea. You foolish rabbit. You think you can defy the consortium? We exposed the truth, Astrea countered, her voice unwavering. Chrysanth history belongs to the Chrysanth people, not to your fabricated narratives. Thuron sneered. Your truth will be dismissed as propaganda. You will be silenced permanently. He gestured to his guards, take them. Before the guards could advance, a new voice boomed through the open doorway, amplified by an unseen comms unit. Hold your positions, consortium officials. A holographic projection flickered into existence in the doorway, displaying the stern, official face of Director Valerius of the Interstellar Archival Commission. Sector Chief Thuron, your unauthorized attempt to seize or silence citizens involved in a confirmed Archival Commission submission is being recorded. The Chrysanth data packet has been received, authenticated, and is now publicly accessible across all non-consortium channels. Valerius's gaze was piercing. Any further aggression will be met with full legal and diplomatic sanctions. Thuron's face drained of color. He stared at the projection, then at Astrea and Atlas, his jaw clenched. The guards hesitated, their weapons lowered slightly. The game was over. Valerius's projection flickered out, leaving silence in its wake, broken only by the distant, fading klaxon. Thuron, defeated, gave a curt nod to his men. Stand down. Report to command. This is not over, but his voice lacked conviction. He knew it was. Weeks later, the fallout was immense. The consortium faced unprecedented scrutiny. Their historical revisions were exposed, their attempts to control Chrysanth resources revealed. Chrysanth communities across the galaxy, long marginalized, began to reclaim their heritage, empowered by the rediscovered blueprints for self-sufficiency and sustainable living. Astrea and Atlas remained on Viridian Prime, but their roles transformed. The colony, no longer under strict consortium control, began to shift its focus, incorporating the rediscovered chrysanth agricultural techniques, proving far more efficient and sustainable. Astrea, no longer just a teacher, became a pivotal figure in this cultural and technological revival. Atlas, her unwavering partner, helped facilitate the new community structures. One evening, they sat on the small porch of their now much more comfortable quarters, watching the filtered sun set over fields that were beginning to show the subtle variations of chrysanth biodesigns. Astrea leaned her head on Atlas's shoulder, her tan fur soft against his arm. "We did it," she whispered, a profound peace in her voice. "The chrysanth people have their history back." Atlas gently squeezed her hand. "You did it, Astrea. You were always the guardian, the beacon." She turned, her soft pink eyes shining behind her glasses, a warmth radiating from her that filled him completely. "I was just a scared teacher. You showed me I could be so much more. You helped me find my voice, my courage." She paused, her gaze deepening. "You found me, Atlas, and I found love." He smiled, a gentle, knowing smile that crinkled the corners of his eyes. "And I found purpose, Astrea, a future I never imagined." He kissed her forehead, a promise of quiet strength and enduring affection. Their journey had begun with boxes of hidden history in a quiet school, grown through unexpected alliances, and culminated in the revelation of truth across star systems. They were two beings from disparate worlds, united by a shared fight and an unbreakable bond. The universe was vast, but their home was here together, building a future where history was honored, and love, in all its forms, was the most powerful force of all. Their story was complete, a testament to courage, connection, and the quiet power of two hearts intertwined.